Hello and welcome to the Faces of Africa Pocket Edition, where we dissect and discuss the topics covered in our weekly documentary show, which takes you through the continent's history, cultures, and major issues through exploring great personalities.
September is known as the Suicide Prevention Month, and this week on Faces of Africa, we are airing Rise Again. I'm Jeff Muthee, and I'm honored to have here our face of the show this week, Lekhetho Khama. Welcome to the Faces podcast, brother. How are you?
Thank you very much, Jeff. How are you? Thank you so much for having me. Greetings to the listeners. Greetings to Lesotho. Greetings to Africa.
Awesome. Yeah, I loved Lesotho. I was there once and I really liked it.
You should come back again. Things are even much better here.
Awesome. I will. And be sure to get me a Basotho blanket, right?
Oh, definitely. I'll get you the whole traditional attire. You're very welcome.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, I think let's jump quickly into our discussion. As you are aware, September is Suicide Prevention Month, and what we'd like to do is debunk some of the myths about depression and suicide. Especially the social media has really twisted and made light of depression and suicide, and this is a really huge issue that is affecting us, right?
Yes.
My first question is, do you think we are becoming a more fragile society, that people are getting depressed more and people are contemplating suicide more? What do you think of that?
You know, Jeff, that's quite a broad question. I mean, we are brought up in different times compared to our parents back in the days. You know, my parents used to tell me that just before they left colleges and all that, they already had jobs assigned for them, you know. They already had things set by the government ahead of them. They knew that when I finish this, I'm going to be a teacher. When I finish this, I'm going to be a nurse, and there's a position waiting for me. But nowadays, we are facing such a huge challenge. Unemployment rate is very high. And now our youth is experimental with drugs and alcohol. We are faced with social media. Social media plays a very big impact. Depending on how you use it, it can build you or break you.
Correct.
We're exposed to so many things, so much that we lost our identity as Africans. We haven't grown soft. We are more exposed to so many things, which can be negative or positive. And now we need to remember our solid foundations. That's where we need to stay strong. Because if you don't have a solid foundation, you're just going to waver.
Fantastic answer. I love the way you've answered that. In the documentary, Rise Again, you mentioned that a Basotho man is supposed to be macho, is supposed to be strong. This is a man who's not supposed to show emotion. That's the traditional the traditional way. And also now with the social media still, do you think men are becoming soft in this day and age?
I believe men have always been men. They have neither become soft or anything. Because traditionally, or our culture tells us that. In Lesotho, they say, Monna, that means men. Kiunku is a sheep. He doesn't cry. Remember, sheep doesn't cry. You know, you hardly ever hear a sheep go meh all the time.
Yes.
Even when it's going to get slaughtered, facing death, it does not cry. And therefore, we say as Africans that a man is a sheep and therefore they should not cry. There's one thing that we're forgetting, that a man is still a human being at the end of the day. And therefore, a human being gets stressed, gets challenged. They need a crying shoulder every now and then to do what? To re-energize, you know, cry, talk, take things out. But our culture does not allow us to do that as men. That's a very sad situation. And let me come back to my country. When you walk down the streets of Maseru, 8 out of 10 mentally challenged people that you see on the streets are men. When you go to our mental hospital, which is Mufami Hospital, more patients are men. When we look at our suicide rate in Lesotho, those are men. Simply because we don't allow our men to cry. We don't allow our men to talk. Soon as they start talking, we start labeling them. He's a soft man. What kinds of men go for counseling? A man is supposed to hold the feelings. Be a man. Stand up strong. It's so sad because these very strong men, if they don't talk, what do? They start the whole gender-based violence. So men having become soft, It's just that now men are realizing that there's a platform where we can cry. There's a platform where we can take out our feelings.
Correct. I love that. Now, I love the way you've mentioned the way the culture plays a big part in all of this. How do cultural beliefs and traditions in Lesotho impact mental health and mental health services?
It's a sad story here because most of Lesotho is more mountainous, and a lot of people live in a rural areas.
Yes.
And only the lowlands where we have the smaller population.
Mm-hmm.
And so majority of our people are more culturally based, traditionally based. And they believe that mental health is a result of witchcraft. They don't believe that there's something called a mental problem.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever somebody has a mental breakdown, a mental problem, they believe that this person has been bewitched, probably because somebody's jealous. We have our fathers, we have our grandfathers who worked in the mine.
Yes.
We have our fathers who still work overseas and all that. They spend a lot of time away from their families, away from the comfort of and love of their families. And therefore they get stressed, and they come back home, mentally challenged, depressed and all that. And sometimes the brain gives off. There's only so much the brain can take.
Sure.
And when this men come back from the mines, they are rich, they are building houses, they have cars, and now they suffer from mental problem. And now they're saying, oh no, so-and-so has been bewitched, simply because now he's earning money from the mines, now he's rich. And that's a very, very sad story, It's only a minority of people who are living in the lowlands that are receiving the help because there's knowledge. What we need to do is to go out there, give these people knowledge, do campaigns, tell them what mental health is, tell them how we can work with it, tell them how to take care of people with mental health issues. Because, for instance, we have a dementia. Dementia, right?
Yes.
Dementia, yes. And especially now, elderly people, let's say they're living up in the mountains in Lesotho.
Yes.
This lady would lose sense of time, direction, their names, whatever. And they could get up at night and walk around half naked, not even knowing where they're going.
Yeah.
And when the villagers found a certain person like that,
they thought he or she was practicing witchcraft. Wow, that's so sad. That's very sad. Yeah.
And therefore they're stoned, they're beaten to death. We need to actually go out into our villages and teach these people about what is it about mental health. How do we accommodate people with mental health problems? How do we go further from this?
It is very sad. I'm very sorry to hear that. Now, coming back to you, are there any specific cultural practices or community norms that either support or hinder mental health advocacy, according to you?
Well, according to me, I still think we are still backwards here in Lesotho. Cultural norms, which the first one we spoke about, that a man is a sheep and therefore he shouldn't cry. That's a cultural norm, And as we talk about mental health, another norm is that a mental health person is bewitched,
Yes.
We need to step away from that. So it hinders what we need to do as a nation to go forward.
I just want to quote a World Health Organization that says Lesotho has one of the highest number of suicide cases, and it's about 87.5% of about 100,000 people will commit suicide. That's a really high number.
Let me take you back just a little bit. I grew up overseas. I grew up in England. But I was born in this very same country in Lesotho. And we had a very good life overseas, and we were raised very well even in Lesotho. And soon after we came back to Lesotho, just about 2 years after we came back to Lesotho, my little sister committed suicide, because of depression, change of environment, and all that. They played a big role. And my life changed drastically. My family's life changed drastically. I was into depression for a very long time. For more than 18 years, I was into severe depression. Simply because I didn't seek help. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to talk to. And I even tried committing suicide. I was in a coma for 2.5 months, So
sorry.
Speaking about these, I'm talking about things that are very close to my heart.
Yes.
Things that I've experienced.
Yes.
You know, as a mental health activist, I have been depressed for a very long time. I'm still on medication up to date, probably for the rest of my life. I survived suicide. So when I stand in front of people and tell them exactly what we are going through and how maybe I advise we can go forward about it, they start to believe, they seem to believe easy because they have been through that.
Yeah, great. Fantastic. Go. That's a great. Continue on that path, man.
Thank you very much. Yes.
So what advice would you give to someone in Lesotho who is struggling with mental health issues but is unsure where to turn for help?
Okay, so it's very important for everybody who feels they have a problem and they're seeking for help. When they found help, they need to have what? Self-acceptance. Then they need to seek professional help and stick to that, and also be brave enough to break cultural norms.
All right. Thank you so much, Lekhetho, my brother, and continue with the good work. It was a pleasure having you on our podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And everybody should look forward to watching the documentary. There are very powerful moments in that documentary, and I'm hopeful that it's going to change people's lives for the better.
Remember, you can watch this documentary on our CGTN platforms. On Sunday, it runs live at 12:30 East Africa time, 17:30 Beijing time, and 9:30 GMT. On Monday, it will be uploaded on our YouTube channels. See you next time.